The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines crossover as a noun, which states a voter registered as a member of one political party who votes in the primary of the other party. Okay, that has nothing to do with Brawlhalla. Basically, what a crossover is supposed to be is when one IP, or intellectual property, is used in another IP, hence crossing over into the other one. However, if you were to ask a Brawlhalla player what the definition of a crossover was, they would 100% say, pay to win. For those that don't know, the pay to win structure for a game basically means that people can pay real life currency to get an advantage inside of a game. Of course, these are not to be confused with cosmetics. Cosmetics in games, while costing real life money, do not actually impact gameplay. Brawlhalla, which is a free-to-play game, needs to get money somehow, and they offer plenty of cosmetics to get that funding. Along with the regular skins that it offers, Brawlhalla also has crossovers from many popular series such as Avatar, The Walking Dead, etc. However, unlike the regular skins, these crossovers can actually lean more into the pay-to-win territory rather than just cosmetics. Now, you might be wondering how this is true, considering Brawlhalla advertises everything in its shop to be completely cosmetic and not affecting gameplay. However, I'm going to show you why crossovers are the exception to that rule. To start, what makes a crossover different from a regular skin? Well, besides being from a recognizable video game or TV show, they also change the sound and design of the signatures. This is why crossovers cost significantly more than regular skins. That being said, for some of these crossovers, the way that the design and the sound of the signatures are changed can make the crossover pay to win. To demonstrate this, let's take a look at a few popular examples. Firstly, let's take a look at Val here. She's about to do a side sig with her gauntlets, and while she's doing her charge up animation, you need to tell which direction she's gonna signature in. Now, I don't think it takes a degree in quantum mechanics to figure out which way she's gonna go. It's pretty obvious, whichever way she's facing, that's the way she's gonna attack. Now let's change over to one of Val's crossovers, Stevani. Stevani here is about to do the exact same gauntlet side sig that Val did earlier, and your job once again is to figure out which direction she's going in her charge up animation. What's that? You have no f***ing clue? Well, neither do I. As you can see, it's almost impossible to tell which direction Stevani is going in the first few seconds of the startup of her signature. Yes, I know there's technically a way to figure it out, but in the middle of a game, there's no way someone's gonna be like, okay guys, we can figure this out. If we look at this pixel cluster right here, we can clearly see after measuring the height and width that it clearly looks more like Steven, so therefore the signature will be going in this direction. Yeah, no, nobody has the time to do that because the sig is way too fast. Let's move on to another example. Now we have Rayman. Now, Rayman here just did a Gauntlet's D-Sig. You can tell because of the loud helicopter sounds that play right when you're charging up the signature. There's also a very loud wind-up sound that plays during the charge up of Rayman's in-sig and side-sig on the gauntlets. Thanks to these loud recognizable noises, you know exactly when Rayman is doing one of these signatures, and there's no confusion whatsoever. Now we'll change over to Rayman's only crossover, Dalsim. When Dalsim does a gauntlet's D-Sig, what noise plays? A very short, high-pitched noise. That's it. It completely contrasts from Rayman's regular D-Sig on the gauntlets. And what about those loud wind-up noises that play during the in-sig and side-sig for gauntlets? Basically, nothing. The sound has been almost entirely voided. Now, you may think these are a few isolated examples, but no. The list goes on. This is Cross's side-sig for the gauntlets. Okay, I just realized that thus far I've mentioned nothing but Gauntlets Legends. This just proves how broken they are, but I swear there's more than just Gauntlet Legends, okay? Anyways, look at this side sig. You can clearly see this huge animation. I mean, this is ginormous. You are not missing this huge red demon coming out of Cross. And then we have Cross's crossover. That sounded really weird. But yes, we have Luke. I wonder how Luke's side sig will compare to Cross's. Yep, completely changed. Instead of having this huge demon coming out of him, all he has is like a few particles, I guess? It's barely noticeable, compared to the usual animation, which makes it really hard to notice. The last of the pay-to-win crossovers I'll mention is Snake Eyes. When Thatch is charging his D-Sig on blasters, there's a very loud sound that plays, and once he releases it, there's a big ba-doom sound, and there's no way you can miss it. It's very loud and noticeable. When you compare that to Snake Eyes, you'll be completely unsurprised to find that there's almost no sound that plays during the charge or the release of the signature. Now, please keep in mind that there are many other crossovers with these problems, however, these are the 4 best examples I could find. Surprisingly enough, there's actually a few examples of pay-to-lose crossovers. For example, Shovel Knight. When Nash charges up his signatures, there's a sound that plays, but it's definitely kind of small and hard to notice. On the other hand, when you charge up the signatures using Shovel Knight, there's a very loud metallic sound that plays right before the signature. This noise actually makes it easier for your opponents to figure out that you're using a SIG. The final example I want to provide for pay-to-win stuff actually isn't a crossover at all. It's an epic skin called Retro Reaper Nyx. Nyx's signatures are usually very loud, both on startup and on use, so there's no way you're going to be able to miss those. Retro Reaper Nyx, on the other hand, is a different story. All of those loud sounds that Nyx used to have during your signatures have been completely toned down to the point where you can almost barely hear them. With all those examples, I think it's safe to say that there's definitely an unfair advantage gained while using a crossover or epic skin. But for those of you still not convinced, let's take a look at some recent pro tournament picks. At recent tourneys such as BCX, plenty of pro players were using crossovers. For example, Luna on Diamond Head and Godly on Tai Long. A couple of years ago, crossovers were almost unheard of at the pro level, but all of a sudden, a ton of pros started using them, and that's no coincidence. So, with all of this evidence piled up against crossovers being pay to win, how do we fix this? Well, I know for a fact that the crossovers won't be changed. Not because it can't be done, but because BMG cannot be bothered doing that extra work. So instead, in the settings menu, there should be an option to turn off all crossovers. Not only would this change be easy to implement, but it would also solve any problem regarding the crossovers. And yeah, that's about all I had to say. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to Red Sapphire 28. They don't have any socials or anything, but they wanted to get shouted out, and also said they would expose me as a manipulator and abuser if I didn't. And we can't be having that, so yeah, shout out to them. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe. Alright, I'm out of here.